Hello everyone, I'm Glenn Flair from Board Games and Bourbon, and today we're going to talk about a game called Ancient Artifacts. Ancient Artifacts is a game that I became aware of through a print and play forum on Facebook, and it just so happens I was following them on Twitter, and the guy was really cool, and I got a early prototype version of it, which is done pristinely. And it has a lot of great merits to it. So I've been writing down my thoughts. I wanted to tell you about it, and I'm going to explain how it plays. You can decide if it's for you. Okay, so first of all, my thoughts. The game, print and play. It's a roll and write. It's a solo game. It's a multiplayer game. It's a dice chucker. It's a dice allocation game. In a way, it's a Euro game because it doesn't have direct conflict, almost like when I play, like if you can imagine, like Castles of Burgundy. It doesn't have direct conflict, but you are affecting other people. And what do you do in this game? So in this game, you are trying to have the most prestige, and you're getting the most prestige, having the most points, in other words, by accomplishing the most goals. And what's going to happen is there's a world map, and in this world map, you are trying to do research and you are trying to do digs and dives to find the treasures of the world. Okay? Now, how do you do this? Well, all these spots are places where dice can be put. They're broken into different regions. There's blue regions. There are desert regions. Blue is diving. There's desert regions that are orange. There's green regions that are jungle. You can place a die that is either the color when you roll them, or you can put down a die of a certain number, or if you go to the research areas that have little stars, you can place there, and if it matches both the color and the number, you get bonuses. And how do these bonuses come into play? Well, there's a second part of the game, and that is the roll and write part. The roll and write part is this right here. And what we're looking at is a score track for what are called your three areas, your three career paths. Okay, you have the desert research, the ocean research, and the jungle research. And as you're progressing through your career path, you're trying to achieve all these things. So in desert, you're trying to do digging, which means you have to roll a second set of dice I haven't shown you yet. And you have to roll either the lecture face or the archaeology digging face. You might have to do the research, which is books. If you're doing diving, there's actually diving masks. There's in the jungle, there's machetes you need to do. And as you progress through, you're going to gain victory points. The star is a victory point. This is a victory point. Over here, there's 4 victory points. There's also dollar signs. Dollar signs let you do re-rolls. They let you essentially be a doppelganger on someone else's research so that you can benefit from it. If you do that, you're following someone, and then there's a following track, and if you are the most followed person, you're going to get bonuses for that. At the end of the game, you're just going to tally the stars you've earned, the money you have left, a bonus for how many times you've been followed. If you're the most, you get 3 points. You add that together, and the person who has the most points, you're going to win the game. So how does the game actually go? Okay, so when we're playing it, what's going to happen is you're going to get a big bag. This is a prototype, but you're going to get a big bag. You go in this big bag, stick your hand in it, and then you turn into a sock puppet. And then you pull out 2 die. So the die you're going to pull out, 1 of 3 die, either the desert die, the jungle die, or the diving die, which is blue. You're going to, you pull out 2, you roll them, and then you decide how you're going to allocate them. So for example, if I pull out this 5 and the 2, what can I do with this? Well, the 5 is pretty sweet because if I need to do explorations, I can put the 5 right there. It matches the color and the spot. Awesome. If I can also put it over here in research, and research is what has the bonus. I can place it over there. I have a 2 on my orange die. What does that mean? Well, I can put it into dig. I can also put it over here into the desert research and get a desert research bonus. And what are the bonuses? Well, when you look here, you're going to notice that some areas are white. You have to roll die. I haven't shown you those die yet. And some are orange. If you have the bonus, you don't have to do the orange spot. You don't have to do that orange spot. You don't have to do that orange spot. And over here, you're not going to get a sad face. That's a raider. It's a skull. And if you roll 3 skulls, you get an X on a path. That's a raider. If you get 3 X's on your path, that whole thing is cut off from you, and you can no longer pursue that path. So then there's a second die. Once you choose what area you're going to, desert, jungle, or diving, then you roll your die. And it's a push your luck mechanism, okay? Some die faces are digging, some are the raiders, some are books, some are the diving, okay? And it goes on, and some is lecturing. If you don't like your die, you can roll as many times as you want, but if you roll a skull, it's locked up. You can also then spend $1 to pick up all your die and re-roll it again. And you just keep going. And in that way, you're trying to optimize yourself. You see if you can make it work. And if you can't, so be it. You push your luck. Maybe you get your 3 raiders and you're X'd out. You lost the whole benefit, no progress. On to the next person's turn. Okay, now, the last rule in the game is if you finally have 1 of every die on the board, because you roll 2 and you choose 1 to roll, 1 to place. If you have 1 of every color, the next person can then pick up all the die and they can roll again. So they have more options. Okay, and that's really how the game goes. Now, this game plays between 1, 2, 3, and 4 people. And kind of the takeaway, there's a very different experience depending on how many number of people you play with. I would say this game really, really shines as a 1-player and as a 4-person game. As a solo person, it's a game where you're trying to beat your best score. So it's a very relaxing game. There's not much conflict in it. Okay, you can mitigate the die, you can spend money to change your rolls, and you are trying not to get X'd out. When I played solo, what I discovered was most of the time I really only, because I play cautiously, I really only played, I only had 3 skull faces, which are what causes the raider to appear. I only got that if I rolled all my dice and on the first turn. On the first try, I got those faces, and then I got the X and lost all my benefits. But I would spend my money. But the cool thing, to pick up the dice and re-roll. But the cool thing was, because you're playing solo, you can choose different paths to beat your own score. Some games I wouldn't want to spend any of my research. Sometimes I would totally spend all my research money. I'd spend all my funding to re-roll and try to accomplish my research and things. I never really ran into a situation where I was blocked out and didn't have anything to do with my dice, which is really nice. It does say if you have nothing to do with your dice, then you're going to get a raider appear. Never had that happen in any game I've played. I've played it about 20 times so far. On the 4-person front, I ran into situations where other people blocked me out. I really had nothing good to do with my die, and I just chose an option that really didn't benefit me. And what's a really important thing, and when I say I had nothing to do, like for example, let's say there was only 1 slot left, and it was for blue, and it was for dive. I'd put my die on dive, but I might have been on part of the game board. I might have been on a research section. Doing a dive action doesn't help me. If I'm in a research action, I need to be in the dive action. So sometimes it was misaligned. Sometimes when I wanted to imitate another person's success, that option was available to me. I did not choose it because we were misaligned in our goals. And so imitating their purposes didn't behoove me. And there's a downside to it, right? So there's 2 downsides to following a person, and there's also a great upside. Let's suppose I was in a dive section and that person was also in blue, but they're in the research section. It doesn't make sense for me to follow because I need the little deep sea diving things while the research section needs books, okay, when I roll my die. So imitating, they're going for book rolls. They're not going to keep this, so that doesn't really behoove me. The downside even if they were here, the downside is twofold. It might help me accomplish a section and move forward, but it increases how many times they've been followed, which will give them a 3-point bonus. Also, if they roll 3 skulls and get a raider, I have to take the raider as well. Now, the following bonus is 3 points. And if you notice any career path, 1, 2, 3, there's 1 bonus, there's 2 bonus, there's 3 bonus, and then there's a 4 bonus. That's very wonderful. But if I gave someone the upper hand and a 3-point most followed bonus, that ate all my work for 75% of the track. So it wasn't often that following seemed to be advantageous until it was a 4-player game. And then you could spread it around, and it was mitigated. And you will also find too that you will want to follow early on to keep yourself synchronized, okay, with somebody else to really benefit from it. So where does this game shine? This game shines as a 1-person game. It shines as a 4-person game, and it's a fine game at 2 and 3. There's actually a few rules to kind of shorten the game for the 2-player experience as well, which helps move it along a bit. I would say some of the comments I got was at a 2 and 3 person game, my group actually thought it was a very pleasurable game, and I would almost say like it was a pleasurable game in the sense of Machi Koro or Castles of Burgundy, and I know those are widely different, but the playing was not direct conflict. It was for those times where you don't want to be stressed out, you don't want to get involved deep, and where am I going to get food from for dead of winter or something like that. This is a very different experience. I also like the repetition of rolling the die. So for me, the solo experience is where it's at for this. I have a lot of solo games that are around half an hour, and I can't really say I have one that is the same as this. And I have a lot of solo games that are highly regarded, but I just do not enjoy them. I hesitate to name them publicly. I do in personal conversations and sometimes on my Twitter, but I'm not sure I want to name them one is Flip City. That game, that's a solo game, just doesn't do it for me. I would play this over that any day. There's more decision making. And you're more on the thrill. I like the idea of rolling the die and not knowing necessarily what's going to become, what your fate is while you're down there, where you're going to put a die. And that also really shows up in the 4-player game. So anyway, okay, now with that being said, this is definitely a Euro game kind of experience. So if you cross the dice checker with the Euro, that's what you have right here with Ancient Artifacts. Okay, so that's how you play it. That's what it's like. This is going to be on Kickstarter pretty soon. Definitely check it out. It's amazing to me how this is a prototype, and the quality that this guy did is amazing. I think the dice are cool. I think the paperwork is cool. The instructions are very clear cut. And I definitely think it's something to give a look at. See if you dig it, okay? All right, thanks so much, guys. I'm Glenn. Games and Bourbon. Talk to you soon.